Hello, I am your teacher, Mr. Pacitti, and this is my classroom here in Birmingham, Alabama. So put away your mobile phones, put away your Brexit. It's time to concentrate, it's time to study. This is SmackDown Live, and this is Graded. We kick things off with the arrival of the man, Becky Lynch. She pulls up in her vehicle, and I know there have been lots and lots of comparisons between tweener Becky Lynch and Stone Cold Steve Austin, but this just cements it for me. Granted, Austin would turn up in a Zamboni or a beer truck or a monster truck, but Becky Lynch here arriving in a Ford, which is just as cool and just as badass. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. She's immediately approached for an interview, and the interviewer asks, "Are you ready for Asuka?" And Becky just says, I'll answer that in the ring. She then walks past the New Day and Heavy Machinery. Heavy Machinery, of course, on their way to either Raw or SmackDown. Will they go to Raw? Will they go to SmackDown? I hope they go to Raw, because Raw's tag division is bad, and they could do with a proper team. Anyway, Otis is making protein shakes. He's making them with whey powder, that's normal, and eggs and tuna. It's disgusting, and Otis takes a sip and he offers it to the New Day. They don't want any of it, and then Becky Lynch just glugs a big load down, proving that she is the man because she's hard as hell, because she drinks disgusting things like shoe nice. A minor note, but I think one worth mentioning, is that I really liked Becky's arrival on SmackDown last night. We used to see it all the time during the Attitude Era. The star of the show's arrival would be a big deal, and Becky's arrival last night felt like a big deal, positioning her as very much the star of the show. So Becky comes to the ring, a huge crowd reaction of course, and she grabs a mic and says, "Hey, people are saying that I'm all hype. I'm not all hype. You want to talk about hype? Let's talk about Asuka. She went to WrestleMania 34 to face Charlotte Flair with all of the hype in the world and then lost." I really like this, considering how monumental Asuka's streak felt. I really didn't think that it was properly capitalized upon after it ended, except for a few Charlotte promos, so a welcome addition to the promo here. So then out comes Asuka. Asuka says that Becky Lynch is like a bee without a sting, and after the Royal Rumble, Becky won't be in Charlotte's shadow, she will be in Asuka's. She's greeted by what chants here, which I thought was a bit of a shame considering that Asuka's first language isn't English, and even though the B line especially wasn't good, I think her promos are largely very engaging. Then out comes the IIconics, Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. They say that they're going to win at the Royal Rumble, then they're going to become the first ever women's tag champions, and then they will both go on to WrestleMania to make that show iconic. Becky then says, "Which one of you two wants to step in the ring with me, the man, right now?" Neither seem especially keen on the idea. Commercial time. A decent enough start to the show, which gets a B. Becky's hype continues to grow, even though it's definitely not hype. She made that very, very clear. The crowd's still hugely behind her. Big Becky chants as she arrived at the arena and then throughout the promo. Asuka, although she's not as strong on the mic as Becky, and the language barrier does make things more difficult for her, especially when she's in the ring with one of the best talkers in the WWE as a whole, but she's still charismatic enough to make it work. And then the IIconics, just nice to see them back on TV. I really like their characters, and although their role last night was just be there, make Becky look good, make Asuka look good, it's still nice to see them on SmackDown. They've not been there for a few weeks. On to the match, Becky Lynch versus Peyton Royce, and I'm very happy to say, not a squash match. I thought that's what they were setting up here, just make Becky look super strong at the expense of the IIconics, but no. She still looks strong, the match still served its purpose, but Peyton Royce flurries of offense looking good too. Also, Lacey Evans was watching on backstage, one of the soon-to-be-called-up NXT prospects. I'm kind of torn on the way that these NXT call-ups are being presented on both Raw and SmackDown. So backstage last night, we saw EC3. He was flexing away. I don't know what that was. As I say, we saw Lacey Evans. She was standing awkwardly sideways watching a monitor. We saw Heavy Machinery with the protein stuff. We saw Nikki Cross, who was there when Rey Mysterio was making his way to the ring. I can't wait to talk about that match. Shaking a fence going, I'm ready to play. That was cool. And in some ways this is good, because it's getting an audience who are perhaps unfamiliar with these characters a little bit more familiar before they're called up properly. It does, however, take some of the shine away from these debuts, which could quite honestly just be a lot more exciting. There's something wrong when EC3's Raw debut is just him backstage or last night flexing away. And I know it's difficult because they're calling up 7 superstars all at the same time, or 5 superstars, 1 tag team, and not all of those can feel massive. but something's missing here. Anyway, back to the match, and as I say, Peyton Royce never really felt like a threat per se, but at least she felt like a proper wrestler, not just somebody they brought out for Becky Lynch to absolutely demolish. Becky Lynch does pick up the win, of course, countering a suplex into the disarm her and tapping Peyton Royce out. So then Asuka gets in the ring, grabs a mic, and says something very passionately in Japanese. I don't know what she said, but it sounded so much cooler than her English promo. I just sort of wish they would let her do this and then let her actions do the talking. She then goes on to grab Billie Kay, drags her in the ring, and makes her tap out in under a minute. I liked this. Asuka looking dominant, submitting her half of the IIconics far quicker than Becky, was clever and effectively builds to their match at the Royal Rumble. The matches obviously weren't anything special, but they served their purpose, and as such, I'm awarding them a B. So Becky and Asuka are staring at each other in the ring, and then AJ Styles' music hits. He comes out looking all confused. He's flummoxed. He doesn't know what's going on. He's just wandering around the ring. And then he walks through the crowd, go to commercial, and we come back, and AJ Styles is out in the concourse area. The fans are going crazy for AJ Styles backstage. AJ Styles, AJ Styles, and AJ says, hey, if you, the WWE Universe, want to eat cake, let them eat cake. A clear tribute, of course, to Marie Antoinette, who AJ is a huge fan of. Probably. AJ then starts grabbing merch from the merch table, throwing it to the crowd. This is deemed to be shoplifting by the on-site security, and AJ Styles is removed from the venue. Vince McMahon then appears in this weird backstage segment where he says that AJ, because of his actions tonight, he's having his title match at the Royal Rumble taken away from him, and he will be replaced by Finn Balor. And then fade to black. That's the end of the show. Just kidding. He's then attacked by Daniel Bryan. Bryan ends up going through a table. He's covered in mustard, and then the two are separated by security. I'll give this a B too. It's the B show. Ha 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 ha. It was weird for AJ to interrupt what was a pretty cool stare down by coming to the ring and looking around for Daniel Bryan. Just check a backstage monitor. He's clearly not there, mate. Why did that happen? And then AJ's backstage promo where he's going, you can eat hot dogs. You can have a t-shirt. Was a bit lame. There was something about it which just was like a bit cheesy, I guess, but it was made up for because of Daniel Bryan's attack and, most importantly, the mustard. It's a B. Backstage, and the Usos are mid-photo shoot, getting some nice Royal Rumble images for WWE.com, I guess, and then Jimmy Uso is presented with a lovely little red box. What's in the box? It's a rose. It's a rose. Who could that be from? Also, there's a note, and the note reads... So Jay's reading this out, I should point out. I've been a naughty girl. I need you to lock me up in the Uso penitentiary. I'll be waiting. Jimmy thinks it's from Naomi, despite previous episodes of SmackDown, but it's not. Love Mandy. Ooh. I like that Mandy managed to get that Uso penitentiary branding in there, not just thinking about some dirty, sexy sex, but also thinking about merchandising and t-shirt sales. What a nice woman. Also, there's a hotel room key in there. Back to ringside, and out comes Samoa Joe. His opponent tonight is Mustafa Ali, except the match doesn't happen. Mustafa Ali makes his way down to the ring, and then while he's posing, Samoa Joe attacks him, then lobs him outside, and he throws him into the ring post, and then he throws him into the crowd barrier, and then just smirks like the bastard he is. Super short, but also deserving of a B-, despite the fact that there wasn't even a match. Samoa Joe has had a rough time of it. Every feud he's in, he loses and comes out looking weaker and weaker and weaker. But this, in a very short amount of time, painted him as a legitimate threat in the Rumble match. Ali was the perfect choice of victim for Samoa Joe here. He sold like an absolute star, making Joe look like a legitimate monster. And it all happened without Ali being tossed over the top rope for the announcers to scream, if that happens in 2 weeks' time at the Royal Rumble live on the WWE Network for only $9.99, then he'll be eliminated. That was a bad accent. Next up, it's the absolute highlight of the show. The best match in all of WWE in 2019. I know we're less than 3 weeks in, but Rey Mysterio versus Andrade Cien Almas, except it's not Andrade Cien Almas anymore. It's just Andrade because obviously we're thick as hell and can't remember 3 words together. I'm not going to talk about that. Let's just talk about the match. Almas, Andrade versus Rey. Nailed it. I'm not actually going to go into too much detail here because this is a match that you need to go and watch. You shouldn't just be listening to some creepy looking fake teacher talking about this match. Go and watch it, find a way to watch it. It's really, really good. I'll just talk about some of my favourite spots from the match. There were lots of them, so don't have a go at me if I miss your favourite. Rey's Hurricane Rana off the top turnbuckle to the outside. Rey's Code Red, the sunset flip powerbomb, which was a thing of absolute beauty. Andrade's double moonsault to Rey, also a thing of absolute beauty. Rey's crucifix bomb and the resulting near fall. And the finish, which saw Andrade hit that hammerlock DDT from the turnbuckle following a distraction from Zelina Vega. So yeah, this didn't just stand out as a fantastic TV match, this would have stood out on any WWE pay-per-view card. It was that good. Go and watch it. Also, Andrade pinning Rey Mysterio for the second week in the row. It was unpredictable, but I love it. Even if this week it did follow some Zelina Vega shenanigans, it's very promising for Almas. Andrade, indeed. I've said it before and I will say it again, Rey and Almas have unbelievable chemistry. This was given time, it told a story, it was booked to perfection, and as a result, gets an A+. Hashtag thank you Road Dogg. Felt dirty saying that. We now go live to the Something Hotel Room in downtown Birmingham, Alabama, where Jimmy Uso is entering Mandy Rose's hotel room. So Mandy Rose is sat down, she stands up and she unrobes, revealing her underwear. And Jimmy Uso's going, no, 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 no. But as he's doing so, then outruns a photographer, snaps a load of bloody Polaroids of the two. What could be going on there? It looked awful. And then Mandy Rose just goes, I don't even like you, Jimmy. I'm just doing this because I bloody hate Naomi for some reason. I don't like you. But then it turns out that Naomi was there all along. She was outside the hotel room door. Jimmy is a good guy. Whew. She attacks Mandy Rose and then the two scrap and then Naomi gets thrown over a chair and then sells like death. Okay, I'm going to say what I liked about this before I get on to what I didn't like about this. And what I liked about this is Mandy Rose. She plays her character well, a conniving, manipulative bitch. What I didn't like were the numerous plot holes here. I guess we're to believe that Naomi wouldn't just watch popular TV show SmackDown and see exactly what Mandy Rose was up to. She revealed it all in a backstage segment earlier in the night. That made absolutely zero sense. Also, it was one of the times where we're supposed to think that a cameraman wasn't there, the cameraman was invisible. This may have worked a little bit better with like fake CCTV or something in the hotel room. What am I on about? It wouldn't have worked at all. It wasn't especially good. Also, Naomi getting laid out by being thrown over the chair was lame, and I guess Jimmy Uso would have been on the outside of the room the whole time. He would have heard that scuffle and then Mandy Rose would have just run past him. He did absolutely nothing. I'm thinking about this too much. I'm going to give it a D+. The plus is because Mandy Rose plays her character well, but that's it. And finally, it's someone's birthday. It's time for a Bestie birthday bash for the best in the world and one half of the best tag team in the world. Best. You know who it is. It's Shane McMahon's 49th birthday. Miz has purchased 2 cakes, one chocolate, one vanilla. One of them has a clip art of a $sign on it. The other has a picture of Miz and Shane. And he's also bought Shane a pair of sneakers, some very nice sneakers. And then he's had somebody make a video package for him showing a much younger, much less sweaty Shane McMahon doing cool things. What a lovely guy. Miz and the WWE Universe sing happy birthday to Shane McMahon, but they are interrupted by the bar. And then this leads to Shane McMahon setting up the Miz versus Sheamus, tonight's main event. This was a super quick match with Sheamus dominating for the most part. Shane throws Cesaro through the cakey table. That's a sentence I never thought I would say, which leads to the Miz rolling up Sheamus for the win. After the match, Shane attacks the Miz, but then in comes Shane, who beats up Sheamus because of course he does. Of course he does. And then this leads to Sheamus eating a coast to coast with a cake there. It was a cake to Sheamus's face. And that's the end of SmackDown. Thank the Lord. I kid, of course. SmackDown was generally good last night, and I'm actually enjoying the continuation of the Shane and Miz stuff. I think those two are working quite well together now, but this felt like a flat way to finish the show. I'm going to give it a C+. The plus is because it's Shane's birthday, and I'm a nice guy, but it's very obvious that Andrade versus Rey should have closed this one. Overall, this SmackDown gets a B, very much highlighted, as I've made it abundantly clear, by that Rey versus Almas match. I've just done it again. Rey versus Andrade. 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 What happens when they realise that we're too stupid to even remember full words? It'll be A versus RM at WM. What am I talking about? So yes, happy birthday Shane O'Mac, a very lucky boy indeed. He got sneakers, he got cakes, he got a video package. All I got for my last birthday was a deck of really sticky playing cards, which I found very hard to deal with. So that's all from me. Thanks for watching, and you can follow me on Twitter here. If you enjoy what we do here at Cultaholic, you can pledge to our Patreon. That's patreon.com/Cultaholic. And most importantly, don't forget to hit subscribe and join us.